who's going to be with us. I do apologize for any noise in the background. We do have kids that are playing outside. I don't expect that to be too much of an interference. They're a little bit far away, but just in case, we're going to wait 3 minutes to see who's going to be with us. And whilst we are waiting, we're just going to touch base on what's been happening. So I've been on a bit of a break, even though it's not much of a break. I think probably it's been 2 weeks since I said I'm gonna go on a break, and I was praying that nothing comes up for me to have to, do this live. But unfortunately, something did come up, and now I'm back here doing the lives. So, yeah, there's been quite a lot that has transpired over the past 2 weeks. I see on social media streets talking about how that July was really a month to reckon with, and it's like August is sort of becoming a little bit worse. Welcome. Yeah, so started with a bang, literally. August started with a bang. And yeah, it's just one of those things that we are dealing with here in our country. And yeah, I'm still on a break. I have to confess. I'm just gonna keep popping up here from time to time whenever it is that I need to. Um, yeah, so what's been happening lately? We've been dealing with a situation where um, the members of Operation Dudula have been arrested. They were kept in jail cells for about 5 days, and they were highly mistreated. So this is our government basically literally betraying its own people and using those few ladies as an example to show the citizens that basically it just does not care about South Africans. It prioritizes um, illegal foreigners more so than the citizens of the country who are actually, paying their taxes and everything else. And then what also happened is that we've been seeing a lot of pushback from NGOs, a whole lot of NGOs which have now sprung up. This is how you see that our country is under serious siege, because all of these things that this NGOs and all these groupings, these groups of people are basically doing. All of them, you can see that they are just popping up here in South Africa. They're not popping up anywhere else, and even if they could be there, for example, in Zimbabwe or Nigeria or wherever, even if you have such kind of NGOs, Human Rights Commission or whatever it is that you call it, they're not showing up the way that they are showing up in South Africa. You understand? Those type of groups, those types of NGOs, they're not showing up the same way that they're showing up here. They're not fighting for human rights the same way that they're fighting for human rights here in an upside down way. You understand? So you can see that this is a siege, this is an invasion. We are under attack as a country. People are here and they are literally using every crack in the system to attack us and to basically collapse our system. So yeah, this is serious. This is something that we as a nation should not take lightly. Okay, so I want to just go into the topic that I want to address for today, which has to do with the narcissism of foreigners in South Africa, because this channel is all about narcissism. So, of course, I'm going to be focusing on narcissism. So, the narcissism of foreign nationals in South Africa, this is something that we definitely need to talk about, because, this we are being attacked here, and there are a lot of things. I've seen a lot of posts, a lot of videos, a lot of commentaries on social media, and you know I don't think people understand, or these people that we are dealing with, I don't think they understand how enlightened we are these days as South Africans, especially because, as a spiritual person and as someone that works in the spiritual field, I deal with a lot of people here in South Africa. And people are very, very much awake to narcissism. People are awake to manipulation, guilt trips, and a whole lot of things like that. And sometimes, I'll be looking and I'll be, listening to people talk. I'll be reading their comments. I'll even be, picking into their energy. And it would be so, so evident that these people are actually BSing us. And they think South Africans don't see through them, but they are wrong because South Africans see right through them. South Africans are very, very much enlightened, are very, very much aware of this whole thing of toxicity and how toxic people operate. And unfortunately, foreign nationals have been showing up in a very narcissistic way here in South Africa. So we're going to be looking at 7 points, 7 ways in which they have shown up in a very narcissistic way. And this is one of the reasons why we should not accept this, and why we should definitely be pushing back against this invasion of our country, this seizure of our country. We should definitely be fighting against it. We should be resisting it. And I am very confident. I'm very, very confident that, there are a lot of things that I have seen in the spirit realm that do indicate to me that definitely this is a battle that we are going to win. So it's not going to be easy, but we are definitely going to win this battle. It might be a little tricky here and there, but we are going to win this battle, all right? Because South Africans, we've got a lot of empaths in South Africa, and that's very important from a spiritual perspective. That automatically means, from an energetic perspective, we are on the winning side. All right. And then there are also a lot of events that have taken place as well, both on the physical and on the spiritual realm, that do indicate that sort of like have sealed the deal for us. So we are definitely going to win this battle. There was a time when I myself was a little bit unsure about it, but it has been confirmed to me that no, actually we are going to win this battle. We are going to come out of this whole thing, and it's going to be like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe we went through that. But we are going to go, we're going to win. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to clean things up. All right. So the dark forces of life are not going to win. However, that does not mean that we need to relax and just, feel like, oh no, then, we don't need to do anything because, it's already been decided and everything. No, we still have to play our part. We still have to occupy our positions. You understand? For example, I have to still, share this message with you. I have to still have this conversation with you. So every single person have to play their part. But I have to tell you, South Africans are very united. South Africans are amazing human beings. I don't think people understand. I do not, as a spiritual person, I've dealt with many people from different parts of the world, all over this world that we are living in. And I can tell you now, South African people are some of the most amazing human beings you will ever come across. I can tell you now, there is no other group of people that I've ever come across that is as amazing as South African people. Do not let anyone deceive you. Do not let anyone lie to you. I have dealt with Americans. I have dealt with people from the UK. I have dealt with people from Australia. I've dealt with people from all over the world. South Africans are some of the most amazing human beings, and they are some of the most resilient human beings that you'll ever come across. And how they operate differently from a whole lot of people. There's a whole lot of things that South Africans will do that people will be like, oh, no, you see, they always go and, picket, and they bend tires, and they do this and this and that. And, they use that as a way to undermine us. But that's usually the lowest common denominator of us. South Africans are amazing human beings. South Africans are really, really amazing. And this is one of the reasons why we're actually going to win this battle. All right. Because South Africans are amazing. South Africans fight differently. They don't fight the same way that other people fight. They fight differently. But the way their way of fighting as South Africans is the one that actually guarantees the victory for us. All right. So let's talk about the first point here: 7 ways in which foreigners are showing up in a narcissistic way. Okay. So, number one, lack of emotional evolution. So, I've said this before. When initially we opened our doors to people from all over the world, as South Africans. We thought that we were dealing with, high caliber human beings. We thought we were dealing with, because, we were still young where the independence and democracy is concerned. So we were new to the whole thing, isn't it? So we thought, okay, let's, open our doors and our gates to other people from, particularly this continent, from, Africa and, other parts of the world, so that perhaps they can help us to see how life has been outside of South Africa, and also how democracy works, from an African perspective. And, these people have been doing this for a long time. They are amazing, they've been independent and everything. So we thought that they would come here and they would help us evolve even further. We thought, because South Africans, that's another thing about South Africans, very, very humble bunch of people, and this, particularly our African brothers, from up top, Africa Unite, Pan-African, fake Pan-Africanism, they look down on South Africans because of our humility. All right. They look down on South Africans because of this. I don't know. They think we are stupid. They think there's something wrong with us because of our humility. You understand? But they do not understand that actually humility is a strength. They don't understand that humility is actually a force, and a very, very important spiritual force that you need as a human being. And humility, you cannot fake it. You cannot, try and, create a superficial impression of humility. Humility is something that is innate within you as a person. And this is something that South Africans have. Some South Africans are very, very humble. So we, in our humility, with all the wonderful, the beauty and all the glory that we have as a country, we didn't see all of that, because another thing about South Africans is that South Africans are not as materialistic as other people, particularly out here in Africa. You understand? And these are some of the things that when we look at each other, we would be looking at each other as South Africans, we would be saying, oh, so and so is materialistic and everything. But when you compare a South African who's materialistic to another person from Africa, let's say from Nigeria, for example, or even Zimbabwe, you will notice a huge, huge difference between that level of materialism that is displayed by a South African and the materialism that is displayed by the person that is, from Nigeria. You understand? The person from Nigeria want a huge, huge house, huge rooms, and huge things, and everything has to be big and flamboyant like that, and everything. And a materialistic person from South Africa would probably want to wear a whole lot of branded clothing. You understand? They might want some kind of a special car, whatever, all these big cars, and they might want a nice house and everything. But the way they're going to go about it, it's not going to be as flashy and flamboyant, and the way that it would be with the Nigerian person. You understand? But this is, at a superficial, surface level stuff. But the point here is that there's a huge difference between, the the level of materialism displayed by other people in comparison to South Africans. So South Africans are humble people. Okay, so we saw ourselves and saying, we've just come out of apartheid, we've come out of oppression, things have been very rough for us. So let's, learn from our brothers, let's see how they do things, let's see how they operate, and let's live with them, let's share with them whatever it is that we have here in our country. That's where we were. We didn't see ourselves as anything special, anything extraordinary, or anything like that. We didn't see the fact that we've just overcome the worst thing in history, which was apartheid. We didn't see ourselves as heroes or anything like that. We just thought, oh, we just came out of an ordeal, and here we are, in our new democracy now, and we just basically wanting to live life. We did not realize that even as much as apartheid was as horrible as it was, whatever it is that was happening with us at that time, as a country, as a people, as a collective, it was actually refining us evolutionarily, or something like that. You understand? Apartheid was doing something to us. So yes, apartheid was horrible. It was a serious crime against humanity. All right, so that we will not deny. But we want to understand that that was not all that came with it. There are a whole lot of other things that were happening at the same time. You understand? So there was a way of living that we had adapted to as people of South Africa during the time of apartheid. For example, we things like moral principles were things that were embedded in the laws of the country. Do you understand? Things like humility. And yes, there was that whole thing of how that we were being dehumanized by white people and all of that. But apart from that, there was this thing of just general natural humility within a person. You understand? There was also the thing of having, ethical and moral principles within yourself as a person. That was important. You understand? Living your life in a certain way, in a virtuous way. Having ideals that are worth fighting for. Having ideals that are virtuous within a country as people. You understand? We were all passionate about fighting for a good cause. You understand? And even if that cause is just literally just taking care of your family and being a good parent and being a good community member, being a good citizen within your country, you understand, or to your fellow man. Yeah, so these are things that, basically we were civil. This is the gift that we got during that time. You understand? I don't know if it was because of what was happening, people that we were dealing with, but we were also dealing with English people as well. So I don't know if it's our interaction with them. I'm not sure exactly how is it that happened, but it did happen that during that time, South Africans somehow were becoming refined. The South Africans were refined, they were civilized. And I know people will say, oh no, you are a puppet of your white masters, because this is how they want to argue against anything that is good about us as South Africans, or anything that could have been good that has come out of the previous regime. You understand? But the reality is that we were being refined at that time, even though it was through a horrible, horrible experience, but we were still being refined as people. You understand? We were amazing. We were civilized. Do you understand? We understood, that concept of Ubuntu, for real, in terms how do we conduct each other towards our fellow citizens. Do unto others, that golden rule. Do unto others what you would want them to do unto you. We adapted those types of principles and we lived by them. And I saw here in the social media streets as well, people saying, someone was saying, there was a time when we used to sleep outside. That's how safe we used to feel in South Africa. We used to sleep outside, and it would be too hot in the house because it would be summer, and so we would want to enjoy the nice breeze of the night air. So we would sleep outside of the house, and this was just before 1994, or around that time, even then, still, because things started going. But that's how safe we used to be. And that's how much we were able to trust each other. You understand? We had that rapport with each other as South Africans. And also, generally, as a country, there was a system that was in place, even though, yes, it was horrible, but the system itself was making sure that we are safe in that regard. You understand? It was making sure that no one was going to just come and break into your house for no reason. No one was just going to come and attack you whilst you are sleeping. You understand? The system was protecting us in that regard. So, and that for us, it taught us a lot. It taught us that that's not how you conduct yourself. But what happened with particularly African countries, and I can also talk about this, Bangladeshis and Somalis and other people that are coming from the Middle East and all of those places, whether even if they may not necessarily be African per se. But what I'm seeing with them is there's very little to no evolution for them emotionally. You understand, or should we say psychologically? There's very little to no emotion when it comes to these people that are coming into our country. Okay. And so where they are coming from, the countries that they are coming from, whereas we thought that they were coming from places where they were much more evolved than us, because some of them, for example, Ethiopia has never even been colonized. So we would have thought that these people, they know how to do this independence thing, or they know how to do this democracy thing. They know how to be themselves. And to our surprise, these people were actually living in a much, much lower level of consciousness. You understand? They were operating from a low level of consciousness. I'm just trying to move from where I am now. I hope I'm not going to be able to lose connection, because I need to quickly close my windows. So we were really, it's such a disappointment. It's such a disappointment when you thought, oh, here's a big brother. I'm going to learn from them. Something amazing is going to happen, because I'm going to be interacting with this person that should have been doing this thing much longer than I am. So they will show me a few ropes, and only to find out you are the one that is actually having to teach them. They know nothing about Ubuntu. Nothing. Their version of Ubuntu is manipulation and toxicity. That's their version of Ubuntu. They know nothing about what it means to be civil. You understand? There's a whole lot of basic things. You look at what has happened to our country, for example, Johannesburg and all our cities, everything, all our beautiful suburbs. These are inheritances that we got from the old world. Tartaria, anyone knows Tartaria? You know, these are the things that we inherited from the old world. Okay, so we inherited all these wonderful things, beautiful, beautiful buildings, beautiful structures, beautiful infrastructures. And what the white people did here, whom Americans and everyone else want us to hate so much, these people took good care. They were great custodians, even though, they separated us from all of those things, which is another topic. But they definitely took great care of all these things that the old world left behind. You understand? And so what happened is, after this democracy, then people came here, okay? And when they got here, they just started destroying everything. Okay, they flooded our country. Okay, we've got millions of people here. I wouldn't be surprised if, as a population of the country, we are about 60 million or 64 million or somewhere there. I wouldn't be surprised if we have another 60 million that is just foreign. You understand? Foreigners, people from other parts of the world. I wouldn't be surprised, because our whole entire country has been taken over by people that are not us. Or as South Africans, we have retreated to our little townships, and even the townships themselves, they have been taken over. You understand? But we have retreated to townships, and we have retreated to rural areas, and even they themselves, they have been taken over. They are under siege. You understand? But when it comes to suburbs and towns, they have completely been taken over by these other forces. It's only, small segments, small portions of those places that it's still South Africans who maybe they are rich, and then they've managed to create gated communities and things like that and all of that. But majority of our country has been taken over by foreign nationals. So, and what has happened in those places where they have taken over, the places have been run down. Like, everything has fallen apart. You understand? Infrastructure has just been broken. I mean, today we were just looking at the raids that the police are now starting to do, and you can see that people have even built shacks, buildings. So one apartment building will be housing about 100 people. Okay, because people have literally created team structures inside of an apartment, so that that apartment is literally a community. It's like a little security complex or whatever, a little complex in itself. So this is what has transpired. And of course, they're not paying electricity, but they are connected to electricity. They're not paying for the water, but they are connected to the water. And guess who's fitting the bill? The taxpayer. Right now here in South Africa, we are paying about literally 1,000 rands will only get you less than 300 units of electricity. Okay, so meaning if you have a family of about four, you probably have to spend about 4,000 rands a month in order to really live a decent life with your electricity. You understand? Otherwise, you are probably, going to scramble throughout the month. All right. So why? Because electricity is going to people. Just understand this. So we've got millions of people who have taken over our cities, and they have connected electricity and water illegally. So they are not paying for these things. And so the municipalities have accrued a whole lot of debt with uh, money basically that is being owed to the municipality because of water and electricity that is not being paid, but it's being used. And you need to understand, when someone is not paying for something in these shacks, inside apartments, these people, they don't care. If you're not paying for electricity, you won't care. You'll be lighting the heater the whole day. You will be misusing the water. You'll be misusing everything because you're not paying for it. You understand? But billions and billions of debt has accrued from all the cities because of these things. And guess who's having to feed the bill once again? The citizens. All right. So this is what we are dealing with. So everything has broken down. Everything has dilapidated. The other day, we were looking on the streets. Some of these people that are, like the activists in the country, they were basically going about and taking videos, and they coming across it on the street. You understand? And so this is what has happened to our streets. Like, everything has just broken down and everything has collapsed, everything has fallen apart because of this invasion. And you ask yourself, why? Why is it that when you look at the city of Johannesburg, it looks like a ghost town, and yet there are people there? And when you look at those people, they are not your people. They are not South Africans. South Africans are just passing by. They are, changing their transport from wherever it is that they come from and going back to the townships. You understand? But they're not staying there. All right. They only come there either when they are passing, or maybe if some of them happen to be so unfortunate that they might be working in those spaces. You understand? But no one wants to be there because it's a ghost town. It's scary. Difference between how a South African thinks and how these people think. So there are a lot of things that are just these people, because some evolve. Wherever it is that their colonizers left, they stayed there. They remained the victims of whoever it is that helps to move beyond where they have been left behind. That helps to move beyond where they have been left behind. And then with all that, beauty, when they talk about how that they had the very same stuff that you see in Marabastad and everywhere here in South Africa, where it's a whole bunch of them all over the place, and it's messy, it's dirty, it's disgusting, it's smelly. They have not gone beyond that. Emotionally, they are not able to reason. There are even some of the most educated of them. Emotionally, they are still at a level of be an example. They're definitely going to be an example. Their president tells them, we're not even producing anything here in Nigeria. Why are we not producing anything here in Nigeria? I mean, even the skin of the cow, we take it and eat it instead of doing anything productive with it. This is a whole president. He's asking his people, what if you as the president are asking the people what are they producing here in America? What do you mean? What do you mean? Who's supposed to be leading that whole thing? Who's supposed to be leading? I do apologize for that alarm clock. Who's supposed to be leading this evolution? So that even the president himself, he is emotionally stunted. Whatever education he has is not working for him. Things, the fact that there are 4.4 million Nigerian children that are starving, that are dying from hunger. All right, they are dying from hunger. And yet we've got Nigerians all over the place flexing like nobody's business. Flexing like nobody's business. But they can't even build. They talk about being giants. They cannot even build mere Nigerian organizations here in Bezos and everything with government. You see how that South Africa should be treating them fairly. A group of people, and you can see that we're doing quite fine financially. Okay. Seem to be doing so well. I keep getting all these interruptions here. They seem to be doing so well financially. You can see them that they are, they are okay. But for some funny reason, and even where they live, you can see that these people are not living in, for example, the rural areas or the townships. Many of them are living in suburbs. They are living in places that are prestigious. But for some funny reason, they cannot organize themselves to fix their country, at least make sure that there's a sewage and a toilet system working in Nigeria. And you don't have them just here in South Africa. They are all over the world. But they cannot unite themselves. They talk about Africa Unite, but they cannot unite themselves to build toilets for their own people. They cannot unite themselves to make sure that their own people who are hungry are fed. There's something wrong with that psychological evolution. Okay, so these people have missed an evolution at some point, somewhere, somehow. They got stuck somewhere, somehow. And I'm going to break down even more, what I'm talking about here when I'm saying these people are stuck somewhere. And the minute a person is stuck psychologically, the minute a person is not able to evolve psychologically, they become narcissistic. Okay. When you grow up and you become a fully fledged adult, but you haven't learned certain basic principles of existence, of life, of, human conduct, you become narcissistic. Nothing else. You become a whole adult with a toddler's mind. So you become a child in an adult's body. And that's what we are seeing. You look at the country. How do you call yourself a giant when majority of you are out of the country? How do you see that level of thinking? There's something wrong with the way of thinking of someone who thinks they have the right to call themselves a giant when all they're doing is just always running away from their country. They cannot even they talk about let's unite. We are united. We are all Africans. We are all brothers. Okay, charity begins at home. So you came here to South Africa. You've been here for over 30 years because that's how long South Africa has been existing with everyone from all over the world. And yet, despite all of that, you have not been able to at least make the slightest difference to a point whereby your people can say, you know what, our place is good enough now, we can go back home. No. In fact, things have gotten worse. There's something wrong with your mind if you think that it's okay. You have not evolved psychologically if you think it's okay to leave your home country and go all over the world and deal with drugs. And, literally just get other people's children addicted to drugs and let their lives be destroyed. All because you are trying to achieve some kind of a special dream for yourself of greatness, of gianthood. There's something wrong with your mind. There's something wrong with you psychologically. If you are a president and you think that it's okay to live far away from your own country and let your people suffer, there's something. So these people have not evolved. Okay, they have not evolved and they are very, very narcissistic because when they show up, you are not dealing with adults, you are dealing with children who throw tantrums. And you need to understand this. We should not underestimate it because when you have children that are in human bodies, it's a very, very dangerous thing because they are capable of anything. You understand? Anything is possible because they are adults, isn't it? According to age. So they can access everything. They can do anything. So meaning whatever it is that ticks a child off, ticks them off. So they are capable of any and everything. So it's not a nice thing, which is one of why we should not be having these people around. We should not be having, because when you want to build a relationship with anyone, you want to build a relationship based on, on at least a very similar level. At least we are able to see things eye to eye. We are able to see things, from a similar perspective. We are able to work together because we are able to agree on a whole lot of fundamental issues. And unfortunately, with these people, it is not possible. All right. It is not possible to fundamentally agree with a lot of our, basically majority, if not all, the people that have just moved into our country from all over, the world, particularly Africa and, East Africa and Bangladesh. It's literally, it's impossible for us to work with these people. Let's just be honest. It's impossible because their intentions for us are different from our intention for them. Do you understand? They're coming here with their toddler minds and they're here to get their toys. You understand? And they could not care, just like a child. They just want what they want. And if they don't get it, they're going to throw tantrums. You understand? And now, when you're dealing with that in an adult body, that's a problem. Okay. Whereas we, as South Africans, here we are, all humble and kumbaya, love and lights to everyone. You my brother, you my brother, you my everything. That's our approach to the situation. Okay, let's all share, let's all work together, let's all build together. You are building as a South African. They are destroying because they don't know, they don't have a concept of a working country. Do you understand that we know what it's like to live in a beautiful country? We know what it's like we know how Joburg looks in its best, in its prime. We know how it looks because we've seen it. We've touched it. Even the food, we know quality food. The food that we're eating now, it's rubbish. We know, we those of us that have lived during that time, we know very well how quality food tastes. Okay, so when you know what it's like, what a proper looking thing is like, and then someone comes and does what these people are doing, you can see the difference. You understand? They don't have any concept of a working country. They don't have a concept. Here's the thing. Apartheid was horrible, right? But apartheid economy was working. Do you understand? It was working. People were clean. People lived in beautiful places. People loved and adored beauty. The sun was shining different, even though we were oppressed, but the sun was still shining different. You understand? Life was beautiful because we had a working country and everything was working. The system was working. We drank clean water, even though it was coming from wherever it was coming from. You understand? But a lot of things were working. And so now, these people, they don't know what it's like to have that. They have no idea what it's like to have the things that we know what to have. You understand? They don't know what it's like to have a beautiful country. Clean cities, proper working infrastructure. They don't know. Their cities, they are literally like, the roads are not made of tar. Their roads are still gravel roads. Okay. So they have no, when it comes to relations with people, it's you're still dealing with that old toxic mindset of people objectifying each other. You understand? So there has not been any evolution. Nothing. People are still seeing it as if it's okay to chop people's body parts for ritual purposes. You understand? These are the people that you are dealing with. So there's no way that we can build anything with them because we are not operating at the same level. Okay. We are not thinking the same way. They have not evolved to that level. They did not learn about, moral, ethical values the way that we have. Those things have not been embedded into their psyche. You understand? For them, whatever it is that you do to get whatever it is that you want, that's fine. It's like, get whatever it is that you want by any means necessary. It's a dog eat dog world for them. That's how they operate. That's how they think. Okay, so let's look at yeah, I wanted to talk to compare South African narcissists to the narcissists of other countries. Okay, so South African narcissists because remember, we are having a crisis of narcissism in the world. Okay, this is the real pandemic behind every other pandemic that we are dealing with here in the world. Okay, so the toxicity that we are dealing with in the world right now, and the madness and everything that is so upside down, we know, with bad leadership and everything, all of this is narcissism at display. You understand? It's all narcissism showing its ugly head. Okay, so my theory is that minimum 70% of the population is narcissistic. Okay, so now this is not just a particular group of people or anything like that. This is the world at large. 70%, this is my take, 70% of the population is narcissistic or narcissist. All right. So about 30%, and a huge portion, a huge chunk of the 30% is actually here in South Africa. Okay, so here in South Africa, we've got a lot of empaths. All right. But even then, still, the empaths are still outnumbered. But here in South Africa, there's an advantage for us because even the narcissists of South Africa are more benevolent in comparison to the narcissists of other parts of the world, particularly the countries that have come and invaded us here in South Africa. All right, the foreigners that have come here in South Africa. So South African narcissists are typically the so-called vulnerable or covert narcissists. All right. So your South African narcissist is not someone who would be wanting to be doing all sorts of crazy things per se. You understand? They usually are undercover. They're usually feigning humility, and they are usually polite and all of those things. From time to time, they might, show their ugly heads and everything, but they are very withdrawn. They're not violent. They're not prone to majority of them, not all of them, but majority of them, you understand, they don't do a lot of horrible things that you would typically expect of people who have little to no empathy. You understand? South African narcissists are very mild. You understand? Very, very mild. South African narcissists, it's like, if you don't know what narcissism is, you would not be bothered too much, not too much by them, you understand, unless if you are very, very much too deep into the narcissism thing and everything. But in comparison to other people, for example, people up there in Africa, the your Nigerians, your Zimbabweans, and other people, their narcissists are sociopathic and psychopathic. Majority of them are sociopathic. You understand? So they are violent, very, very violent. They are, so basically, your COVID narcissist is typically refined, polished. You understand? They've learned manners. They've learned to somehow embellish their narcissism. And they know they have manners. You understand? And many of them will not even dare commit crime. They even have, a sense of moral values and so on. Believe it or not, they do have that thing of, okay, we're not gonna do this, we're gonna do that. We wouldn't dare lower ourselves to this and that and that. You understand? This is how our narcissists operate here in South Africa. But narcissists from other parts of Africa and the Middle East and all of those people, those narcissists are mostly sociopathic. Okay, and so they don't have manners. They're not polished, they're not, and they have no limits, they have no parameters. They will do anything and everything. They will kill, they will rape, they will destroy, they will break things down, they will fight. I mean, just the other day, which is one of the things that have been happening ever since I said I'm gonna go on a break. We've had this thing where, a Zimbabwean criminal killed two policemen. You understand? Two South African policemen here in South Africa. So this is how it is. So that's why a lot of people will tell you that a lot of these strange crimes started occurring here in South Africa ever since we had this invasion. Because South Africans are not prone to those kind of things. You understand? South Africans would typically rather say, you know what, go ahead and shoot us. Go ahead and kill us, dear government, dear police, dear everyone. But we are standing for our truths. We are standing for our rights. So we are here, we are protesting on the streets. We are not killing anyone, we are not hurting anyone, we are not doing anything. But if you want to, kill us, if you want to shoot us, if you want to take us to prison, that's fine. Go ahead and do that. But we are not going to fight you. We are not going to do it. They'd rather do that kind of thing. Very rarely, only when you push South Africans to the limit that they will start fighting you. You understand that they will become physically violent. But the people that have come to our country with this level of violence, and yes, of course, there'll be 10% or actually much less than 10%. Those people that would be very violent. So there would be those kind of people, but there were few and fine between. This thing of children disappearing. Though these are new to us. We never used to have such kind of things in South Africa. You understand? There's literally about 90% of the things that are happening in South Africa right now, they never used to happen before. They are all strange to us. Many of them are even taboo to us. You understand the kind of crimes that are occurring here because they have come here into our country with other people. It's not us. That whole thing of farm killing of farmers. It's not being done by South Africans. I do not believe, I am not convinced because the people who do such kind of crimes here in South Africa are people from outside of our country. You understand? Because their level of narcissism is that violent, it's that sociopathic, it's very hostile, very aggressive, and very just yeah. I don't know how to describe it. So let's look at number 2. So, lack of empathy. Okay. So, this is one of the ways that you can see that, the foreigners here in South Africa are very narcissistic. Of course, there'll always be, a small group of them that are not like the rest. You understand? But majority of them, because if majority of them were good, then we would be seeing it by their works. You understand? We would see precisely how it is that they would have impacted our country, our economy with their presence. You understand? But the opposite has occurred. Negative things have occurred in our country. As I said, we have been introduced to crimes that we have never knew existed before. You understand? And I know it can sound like I'm putting all the blame on foreign nationals and I'm not, giving accountability and responsibility to the government that has allowed all of these things to happen. But the point is this, I am trying to point out the narcissism to you that, when you are dealing with an evolved human being, even if they have the space and the opportunity to do evil, they will not do it. You understand? When you're dealing with an evolved human being, even if, you can see that the government in this country, it has literally just compromised itself and it's not really taking care of its people. The borders are wide open and, everyone is crooked here in this country. You can still say to yourself, but I'm not that kind of a person. So I'm not going to do that. But that's not what has happened. Here in this country, people have seen, foreigners have seen that our government has been compromised. And as such, they are literally just destroying, they are on a rampage to just destroy our country because they can get away with it. Okay, so that speaks volumes about the type of people that they are. They think they can tell us that, no, it's your government that has allowed this to happen, so you can't blame us for it. And it's like, no, but the government is not doing this alone. You are the one that's doing this. The government is allowing you to do it, but you are the one that's doing it. You understand? So that's what we are dealing with here. So, lack of empathy. Okay. These people have little to no empathy for South Africans. Once again, like you are dealing with a toddler. Okay. You are dealing with a toddler that is willing to just, throw their toys out the court whenever it is that they don't get what they want. So they have come here and they don't care about what we have just dealt with where apartheid is concerned. They don't care about the fact that, we are really struggling as a country and we are just, as a people, particularly the majority of the population in this country, which is Black, we are really trying to get our act together. We were previously excluded from a lot of opportunities, and this is an opportunity for us to now begin to be part of, the economy and play a pivotal role in terms of the direction which our country is taking. And these people, instead of coming in here and supporting us in that regard. And maybe you want to build something for yourself back in the country where you come from. And then you come here to South Africa and you are working with South Africans so that their country becomes better. And then so that even you yourself, you are benefiting from it and you are able to take something back home so that you can build your country. But no, that's not what's happening here. Instead, it's like, nah, there's a whole lot of for me, it's envy and jealousy. Because once again, we assumed that they are coming from better off places and they're just coming here to work with us. And then only to find that these people are actually coming from very, very horrible places. And whatever it is that we are looking at and we're thinking, these things could be better. They are thinking, oh, this is the best. And these people actually don't even deserve it. And so we're going to take it away from them. You understand? That's the mentality of a lot of these people. It's like, we're going to destroy these things. We're going to destroy them. They think they are better than us. They think they are this. They think they are that. And, they just mistreat the South Africans. They are really horrible to South Africans. There was a time when some of them, particularly Zimbabweans, they came across as very, very nice, very kind, very gentle, very polite. And then we are realizing now, oh, actually, all of that was just pretense. You understand? There was never niceness and politeness or kindness. It was just a mask. People playing nice. When people want to deceive you and people know that they are here to do whatever it is that they are here to do. And so they were just playing nice. But now when you look at the social media streets, these people are revealing their true colors and they never cared about us. They don't see anything in us. They see no value. They've been here for 30 days. Many of them have built mansions for themselves back home in Zimbabwe because of what they have gotten from South Africa. And they see no reason to be grateful towards South Africa. Many of them, many of their lives were even spared because they came here to South Africa and they got free health care, which they do not get in their country. They got a whole lot of things that they do not have access to in their countries. They got them here in South Africa, but instead of expressing gratitude, what we see from them is just ingratitude and just basically very, very, very negative energy towards us. No, I mean, they're killing people like nobody's business. They're killing South Africans like nobody's business. Do you understand that a lot of crimes that are occurring here in South Africa, like when people want to take something from you, these foreign nationals will not just take something from you. They will take this thing from you and then they will kill you or they will harm you in some shape or form afterwards. That's that sociopathy that we are talking about there. The lack of empathy. It's like there isn't that thing of, when you find yourself in a situation where your house burns down and you have to go and live by the neighbor's house, you live with the neighbor. The neighbor has extended their grace and their kindness to you, even if you might have helped the neighbor at some point in your life when the neighbor needed it. But of course, when you're moving there to your neighbor's house, you're not moving there because you deserve for them to take care of you, because you once took care of them. Now it's their turn. They're supposed to take care of you. And if they don't, then they are a horrible person. No, that's not why you are doing it. You are doing it because you are desperate. Your house is on fire. But that's not the attitude that we are seeing from these people. The attitude is that, no, we are here and yes, our house burnt down, but our house is great. 1 minute it's like our house is great, it's amazing, it's shining, it's beautiful. You see people posting pictures, videos of other, and then people will be commenting and saying, no, this is not even Zimbabwe, it's Cape Town. But people will be showing videos and saying, look at Zimbabwe, it's so beautiful. And those videos would be looking really amazing. And then Zimbabweans will be bragging and saying, hey, you guys are saying, Zimbabwe is ugly, Zimbabwe is this. Look at Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe is beautiful. And it's like, if Zimbabwe is that great, why are you all here? So they'll be saying, yeah, my house is great. So I've moved to your house as the neighbor because my house is great. And then when you tell them, okay, go back home to your house, then they'll start crying and start saying, oh no, you are sending me back home because my house bent down. But one day when you needed salt or you needed this and that, I gave it to you. You understand? So it's like all that madness, all those double standards, all those things that are just nonsensical and they just don't make sense. That's basically the space that these people are playing in. Okay. But the point is they have, because when you are living in your neighbor's house, for whatever reason, you always have to put into consideration the fact that your existence will always be a burden to that person. Even if this person was maybe a sibling of yours, even if it's your parents, when you are an adult and, having to make yourself a burden on someone else's shoulder, you will always have that in the back of your mind, that you are an extra burden to this person. And firstly, you do not want to overstay your welcome. And secondly, you want to be as grateful as possible. You understand? And you want to play by that person's household rules. You don't want to just do things the way that you want to do them. You understand? You want to respect that person and you want to be grateful, and then you want to move away as quickly as possible. But that's not what's going on here. People are here to stay. People have settled. Now your neighbor has given you a roof over your head. Now you have, erected a shack at the back of his house. Now you have invited your cousins, your friends, your family, everyone from your place. And now, you have connected your neighbor's electricity illegally. You've connected the water as well. You are stealing food from your neighbor's fridge when he's gone to work. You are harassing his children. You are probably molesting his children as well. And now you are telling him you are not going anywhere. And guess what? You are even appealing to the, president of the country to say the president must discipline your neighbor because your neighbor is now wanting his, house back, his home back. He wants you to get out. This is the lack of empathy. You do not care whatsoever about your impact on this person. And someone can say, no, but it's understandable when you're talking about a neighbor, but this is a country here and everything. It's the same principle, it's the same thing. Whenever it is that this country makes budgets, and I don't care what the government says because the government is compromised. You are an adult, you're supposed to use your brains. You're supposed to use your medulla oblongata, or whatever it is that they call it. You're supposed to use those neuron wires and whatever it is. You're supposed to think like an adult. But this government, you know very well how the rules are for every country. Every country has its own laws. And these laws are pretty much similar in most instances. You know how the laws of immigration operate. So why are you expecting South Africa to operate differently? You know that whatever laws that you have in your own country, South Africa has the same laws. And the only reason why the government is allowing you to do all these things is because itself is a mess. But it does not necessarily mean that what you are doing is okay or acceptable. Whenever it is that the government sets budgets out, firstly, it's taxing its citizens, not on VAT, but on income tax. Okay? People are paying crazy amounts of tax in this country. Crazy. South Africa is one of the most highest taxed countries in the world. So people's money is chopped in half, almost in half, every month, so that the government can take money from their income. Hard-working people that you call lazy, their hard-earned money goes out of their pockets and it goes into the bank, into the government coffers, and then they budget for certain things within the country, like, for example, health. And then when they put those budgets out, they are considering 60 million citizens. They're not thinking about anyone else. They're not looking at anyone else because to you, as Zandile will say, you are a ghost if you are an illegal foreigner. You don't exist in the system. So no one is thinking about you. So if the country thinks that in that particular township, there's about 50 people, when it sends out medicine or when it draws out a budget for healthcare in that particular township, it's going to think about only 50 citizens. It's not going to think about 100 illegal immigrants that have illegally occupied that area. So when you hospital every day, because that's what foreigners do in this country, they wake up every day and they go to the hospital every single day. South Africans, hospitals, clinics, and everything, medical health, as long as it's free, every single day you will see long queues of foreign nationals there. Everyone from all over Africa is there. People that the government did not budget for. If you had empathy, you would use your brain and just see that this simple thing, honestly, we shouldn't even be having a conversation about it, because guess what? These people are not having this conversation with their own governments in their own countries. The government says you have to pay, you are a citizen, but you have to pay for public health. And you're like, oh, okay, fine, no, and I get it, I'll pay for public health. And then you are done, you are quiet. Why is it that you have to pay? You don't understand that the government has only catered for its citizens. It has not catered for everyone else. It has only budgeted for the people that are living here. Once again, I don't care what Ramaphosa says. He knows very well. He knows very well that the budget does not put into consideration 60 million people that are coming from other parts of the world. The budget is not putting it's not accommodating 120 million people. The budget is only catering for 60 million citizens. So you have no empathy, because many South Africans have died. I've lost a brother myself. Okay. I have lost a brother because we had to sit in a long queue at a public hospital, and there were no beds, there were nothing, there were no staff, they were understaffed, and he needed like literal urgent medical attention, but there was no one to attend to him. So he died in casualty because the hospitals were full of foreign nationals. And it didn't hit me then when this thing happened, until now. Until just recently, when all of this hospital thing started coming out, I remembered, oh my word, this is actually how I lost my brother. Because people were posting videos on social media, showing a picture of a young lady and saying, this lady died because she was, trying to give birth at a public hospital, and she was chased away by the so-called vigilantes. We all know they're not vigilantes. They're actually doing the Lord's work. And then everyone is like, yeah, you are so inhumane. South Africans, you are so inhumane. And the question is, do you understand how many South Africans have died? Because the hospital beds are always occupied by foreign nationals. Because literally, they live in hospitals, these people. Foreign nationals here in South Africa live in hospitals. Every single day, it's them. They are there. And they're always giving birth. Always. South African women are not having children, but they are always, some people even make jokes, and it sounds inhumane, it sounds cruel, but you end up having to have this kind of conversations with people who do not want to be reasonable. But anyway, when you're dealing with narcissists, let's face it, some people even joke here on social media, they say, you know what, foreign nationals, they give birth 3 times a year, Lack of empathy. No empathy. They're just thinking about what they need because they're on survival mode. They're just thinking about themselves. They do not care about us. And it's one thing to be humane and to be charitable and to care about everyone. But what about putting into consideration the fact that you have limited resources? At what point does that count for something? And whose rights are we going to, prioritize over whose rights here? So if you as a parent, and the government plays the role of a parent to its citizens, you as a parent, how on earth would you let your children die and suffer and starve and everything, whilst the neighbors' children, you are constantly making sure that they are well taken care of? It's madness. There's no way. So these people should not be expecting our government to be prioritizing them over us. That's lack of empathy. You have no empathy. Your people are busy. The women that are busy posting on social media, crying, I'm not okay. They chased me away from the hospital today. I wanted to take my son to the hospital and they chased me. Remember, we're not chasing people away from, as South Africans. I'm saying we because I'm supporting the people that are doing this. We're not chasing away people from hospitals. We're chasing them from public hospitals. And we're saying, as the law says, section 17 of Immigration Act, it says that foreign nationals should be using medical aid. And that's what happens across the board, all over the world. That's how it works. Even in their own countries, these people pay. They pay for health services. But somehow they think, oh no, you know what? I'll just have a baby. I'll just fall pregnant 10 times because I know I can always go to South Africa. And then they will go there to South Africa. And then when Dudula stops them, then they'll be posting videos on social media. You know, I'm not okay. I wish the government can do something. The government of South Africa must do something. You see, that narcissism, that manipulation. You left your government to not take care of you. You are expecting our government to take. Don't think we don't see through that. Don't think we do not see through that. And then, you know, it's like, yeah, so, you know, my child now, I don't know what I'm going to do with my child and everything and all of that. You have no empathy. You have none whatsoever. Because I'm going to say this again. How many South Africans have died because of all these long queues? Because medicines runs out. Because infrastructure is so overworked and overstretched. A lot of things have even broken down and the government is failing to catch up with the demand. Queues are long for operations. Queues are long for very, very important things. People talk about dialysis, this and that, machines, and all of those things. People are really, really on long queues. People die waiting to be served. But guess who's holding up the queue? Foreign nationals, illegal foreign nationals. That's lack of empathy. You won't see South Africans posting videos on social media about how that they had to die or how that they have. Do you know how many people, like, people don't understand. Hundreds of South Africans die daily because of this problem with the public healthcare system. And you will not see South Africans posting videos on social media to say, South Africa killed my grandmother. South Africa killed my baby. South Africa killed this beautiful queen of ours. You will not see South Africans doing that, but you will see foreign nationals doing that to us as South Africans. South Africa killed their so and so. They're not going to say anything about their presidents, their government, the ones that they ran away from into South Africa. Lack of empathy. You will not hear foreign nationals saying anything about the crimes that their brothers and sisters are committing here in South Africa, not to even mention the medical trafficking, the medicine trafficking that is taking place in this country. Because many of them, when they go to hospital, we know that they're just collecting that medicine so that they can sell it. That's why they live in hospitals. That's why they are there every day. They're just collecting. Because what purpose is there for these Nigerian drug lords who have all this money? They drive fancy cars, and Somalians who have all these spaza shops and make billions a year. Unaccounted money, not paying tax, not doing anything. They've got their own manufacturing companies and everything. What are they doing in public hospitals looking for medication? Lack of empathy. No one is calling each other out. You don't care about South Africans. You don't care about South Africa. You don't care about the fallen state of our nation. You just care about what you want. You're not feeling sorry for South Africans. You are destroying our country without even a second thought. You don't care because you know you can always go back to your own country. We don't have a country to go back to. This is all we have. And we are not runners like you. All these atrocious crimes that are being, perpetuated against South Africans, killing of white farmers and then framing South Africans for it. That one, I could literally pick a bone with white farmers and, white capitalists and everything, because they're the ones that are busy hiring these people and like, oh, they work hard. They are so nice. They are respectful. They are polite. They don't have rights like South Africans. Yeah, fine. They don't have rights. Like, they are being nice to you for that 5 minutes. Soon enough, as soon as they got all this information, you'll be wondering, oh, we've got all this security in our security complex. Why is it that there's so much crime in our security complex? How are these people getting here? They're getting here because you guys are hiring them. They work for you. They clean for you. They are your securities. They are your everything. So, of course, they are giving information to each other. And then they know exactly how it is that they can come in and break into your security complexes. Nothing is for free. You are excited that you are having to save money by hiring a foreign national. There's a price that you are still having to pay. Number 3, entitlement. Okay, so we've seen this level of, remember, we're talking about the narcissism of foreign nationals here in South Africa. Okay, they are showing up in the most narcissistic way. They're exposing themselves. And so once the cleanup work starts, they are going to be gone. They have ruined it for themselves with this country. They have ruined it. There's no going back. There's not, that whole Africa Unite will never ever happen. We will only ever unite whilst you are there in your own home. We will see each other on social media and we will be rooting for you. But you will never, we are never going to accept you here ever again. We are never, the way that we've opened our doors, the way that we have now, you will never see this again in South Africa. You have taught us a good lesson. You come here, you claim our country to be yourself. I see in Dao. I see in Dao. We're not going anywhere. That's what people are saying. Africa for all. There's no country in Africa. There's no borders in Africa. It's a colonial thing and everything. Tell that to your own president. Why are you not telling that to your own government? Why are you not saying that in your own country? Why are you only saying all of those things here? You curse our people in those public health facilities when they tell you to go to a private hospital or a private doctor. They even refer you to the cheapest of the cheapest, private health care facilities. But you still feel entitled. You'll be cursing them and telling them that God will deal with them. God must punish South Africa. You'll even be praying and playing soapy songs on social media for God to deal with South Africans because they're not giving you the free health care that you feel you deserve. But you are missing the point, because the only person that is not giving you the free health care that you deserve is your own president. You cannot talk about the fact that Africa is for all. There should not be any borders in Africa and everything. You cannot talk about that when you have nothing to offer. When you have nothing to offer, you are not in a position to negotiate anything, let alone be entitled. So you fix your country first, and then there's something that you can put on the table. Then you can talk about let's Africa unite. And then you say, this is what I come with. You cannot leave your country with no toilets, children busy starving and dying, and then you come here and then you want to Africa unite with us. And you come here and you want to be entitled. When you come to a person's house, you want to play by their rules. You don't come and then start making up your own rules and applying double standards. The very same things that you could not ask for at your own home, you want to start asking them here in South Africa. What kind of madness is that? You know, you're claiming our resources for yourself. You're claiming our country for yourself. You even dare tell us as South Africans to go to your country so that you can stay here. The audacity. The narcissism. Number 4, guilt tripping and manipulation. You know, the guilt trips. I've already, spoken about all these videos that keep circulating and the soapy songs that will be playing there. How that South Africa is killing foreign nationals. How that South Africa is xenophobic and it hates people. And it's like, but I don't understand. How is it that you can put all of this blame on South Africa and leave your government like literally just, nice and irresponsible for you? You leave your government to just be nice and free. Your government gets to, loot money, get to do all these horrible things to you. And we don't hear you complaining. We don't see you posting videos about how that Mnangagwa killed you or killed your sister or killed this. We don't see videos about that. But we definitely see videos about you are doing this to South Africa precisely because South Africa is an empathic country. That's why you are doing it. And I see, because I understand that this immigration thing is not a South African problem. It's a worldwide problem. It's a globalism problem. Because the globalists of this world are trying to destroy the world, render it, ungovernable so that they can bring in their whole globalism thing. But it's not going to happen. It's not. That's a mission that is destined to fail. So they're not doing it here only in South Africa, but I see they're doing it in UK as well, or those kind of countries, those type of countries. Because sometimes for me, it's like all of them are UK, all those European looking like type of countries. And then you've got all these people there, you've got all these Somalis that have, it's like someone is busy, sending them with somehow it's like the government gets compromised somewhere somehow. And then once the government gets compromised, then it's like these people, they just start coming in. Okay. It's like someone just, says, okay, open the borders. Then they open the borders and then they guilt trip you because they're very good at that. This World Health, what do they call them? So, human rights commissions and all this, groups and all of them. They are very manipulative. They will always, oh, let's restitution for the sins of the past, the sins of the forefathers, why people colonize this and colonize that. And then, yeah, so open the borders, and all of those things. And then people open borders, countries open borders. And then you see, it's like a train has dropped people off, or a huge truck has dropped people off. And then all of a sudden they are occupying hotels, isn't it? In America, they were doing the same thing. I see they're doing the same thing in UK now. They're living in hotels, they're given phones, they're given monthly or weekly stipends, like money, just money coming free from the government. These are illegal foreign nationals. Okay. The government has shipped them in, is putting them in nice places, and then they're not working, they're not doing anything. So they wake up every day, they'll be sitting in the streets, like a whole gang of them, Somalians and whatever. I see this in UK, I saw videos there. And then these people from UK would be asking, the white people from UK, wild old people, they'll be asking these people, like a whole lot of, Somalian men, will be a whole lot of them there, sitting down in the streets, just sitting there looking very strange. And then these people will be asking them, what are you guys doing here? What's going on? And then, they'll just be saying, no, we're just sitting here. And then they'll be asking them, so where are you living? Are you living in that hotel? Then they'll be saying, yes, I live in the hotel, blah, blah, blah. And then you will see the comments, because, the people that are asking these questions they're frustrated, of course, because they're thinking, oh my gosh, these people, they are using our tax money. They live in hotels. We can't afford to even go out to hotels. We can't afford to buy the kind of phones that these people have. We can't afford to just, get money. No one is giving us money every week or whatever. You understand? Life is tough for us. We are having all these bills that we're having to pay. But now we've got all these people that are coming here and getting all these things for free. And then you see the comment section. Oh, why are you targeting them just because they are black? Those are the comments. You are just targeting the racism. When will the racism end? Okay, you guys destroyed their countries first. So what are you expecting now? You must let them just come and live in your country now. And it's like, oh, really? So that's the guilt tripping and manipulation once again. It's the guilt trip, and do not fall for it. If anyone from any of those countries, I don't care whether you are from a white country or from a black country, do not accept this manipulation, because that's what it is. It's manipulation and guilt tripping. Those things that have happened in the past have happened. And yes, they might need to be dealt with in some shape or form, but this is not it. All right. This is not how to deal with it. This is not how to resolve it. Whoever it is that is busy creating this whole situation is trying to destroy the world and trying to destroy your country in particular. Whenever it is that you see an influx of all these people, you must know there's an agenda to destroy your country, to destabilize it, and do not accept it. Do not fall for the manipulation. Don't fall for that whole trap of, no, when they come to us as Africans, they say, no, we are all Africans. How can you do this to us as Africans? You leave white people. You don't focus on white people. You just focus on us as Africans. You are targeting us, and they do that to us as black people. And then when they come to white people, then they tell white people, yeah, it's your fault that our countries are broken and everything and all of that. And it's like, no, many of these countries, they've been independent for example, we as South Africa, we've been independent for at least 30 years. So they would have been independent for about 90 years. Some of them would have not even been colonized. You understand? So they have no excuse. There's little to no excuse. And I know people will keep saying, no, it's the white capitalists that are busy destroying African countries. I know. They keep saying this, they just keep repeating this song, how that it's white people, it's the colonialists, it's the globalists that are destroying, black African countries and all of those things. And it's a lie. It's a manipulation trick. It's just a tactic to be able for them to get away with what they're trying to do. These people are not trying to do, even when they come to your countries, they do not do anything good. They do not add any value. They destroy. They've destroyed their countries. They've been independent, and instead of building their countries, they are destroying them. You understand? They have chosen to destroy their countries. I don't care what they say. The reality is that they, together with their government, destroyed their countries, and they allowed their government to destroy those countries. And then once the destruction has taken place and they've got nothing to work with, then they start, expatriating themselves all over the world. Okay. So don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. Do not accept it. These people are destructive. They're not there to build. They are there to steal, kill, and destroy. Soon enough, your children will be disappearing. Soon enough, crime will be crazy. Soon enough, your buildings will be dilapidated, will be hijacked, will be destroyed. Your cities will be unrecognizable. Do not accept these people. This whole thing of immigration, do not accept it. Free for all immigration, please, please, please do not accept that. Okay, fight against it. This, freedom of movement of people all over, do not accept it. Do not. There's a reason why we have different cultures and different, nationalities and everything. Even as Black people, we cannot all live together. Okay, we cannot. I'll give you an example of Zimbabwe as a country. Zimbabweans cannot live together themselves. You understand? And you only have two people. It's so amazing. We as South Africans, we know how to unite, and we are many, many different tribes and many, many different groups of people, including white, Indian, and colored. You understand? And we've got small other minorities. Okay. But we've got about at least maybe like 14 to 15 mixtures of people. You understand? Different type of tribes and this and that, cultures and all of those, but we know how to unite. These people do not know how to unite. They only have about two groups of people, or two majority groups in Zimbabwe. We've got the Shonas and then Debeles. They cannot live together. They fight with each other. They hate each other with a passion. All right. So how on earth are they going to be able to live together with any other group of people? Okay. So there's a reason why we are different. Okay. There's a reason why we have been set apart the way that we have been set apart. We might blame it on colonialism or whatever, but the fact remains, it actually works better that way. You understand? We as South Africans, we belong with each other here in South Africa. We do not need other people to come here and infiltrate us and come here with their own cultures and, dilute us or anything like that. We want to be able to maintain our sovereignty, and we want to be able to maintain our uniqueness. We want to be able to maintain our identity as a country. And all these other countries all over the world need to do that. You are not going to be able to maintain your identity as a country. We are not going to be able to do that, to maintain our sovereignty, our identity, and everything, our culture, everything that makes us who we are as a people. We are not going to be able to maintain that when we all allow each other to mix with each other. And this mixing with each other is not always good. Okay, majority of the time is horrible. It can be good when, here and there we exchange ideas and then we see and we introspect and we test things and all of that. But this whole thing of invading each other's countries, it will not work, because majority of the time when we engage with each other at this level, we are not doing anything positive. We are actually, it's like most of the time, it's actually the lowest common denominator that is coming in to bring in the culture. So the culture that is brought in is usually very toxic. It's usually something that is very undesirable. So absolutely not. Do not accept it. Do not accept that whole thing. Let's all live together. Let's all be one. No. We can all be one, but we are all one as humanity. We will always be one. We are all one. But everyone has their own house, everyone has their own household, everyone has their own thing going on. You understand? And there's a reason for that. So let the countries be the way that they are. Let us not be manipulated by that whole thing of no, it's colonialists that created borders and everything. Fine. It might be them or whatever, but it's working the way it is and it's fine the way it is. And let's not change it because it's not going to do anyone any good. Okay. Don't fall for the guilt tripping. Do not fall for the guilt tripping. All these human rights groups and everything, why don't they take this, for example, the human rights that are busy harassing us here in South Africa? Why don't they harass the Zimbabwean government? Why don't they harass the Nigerian government? Why are they busy harassing us for free healthcare for foreign nationals, but they're not harassing Nigerian and Zimbabwean and every other government for giving free healthcare to their own citizens? Why don't they take them to the International Court of what? Why don't they do that? Why are they attacking us as South Africans? No, no, it's absolutely wrong. You can see that there are some nefarious things that are at work there. Okay, so number 5, and then I've got two final points, and then we're done. I'll try and be as quick as possible because I really didn't want this to be more than 1.5 hours. So we should be done by 1 hour 35 minutes or so. Okay, so lack of accountability and just being unreasonable. These people, they lack accountability. That's the narcissism. All right, because we're talking about 7 ways in which these people are showing up in narcissistic ways, or they are just literally showing up narcissistically. They just come to steal, kill, and destroy, nothing else. They're not bringing anything. They're not bringing any value. They're not helping our country. They're not doing it. Do you understand? Even the ones that have businesses, majority of them, the businesses are not registered. The money is just going away from the country. It's not staying here. They're not paying taxes. They're not doing, like, there is nothing that they are, like, it's like when you have a pest infestation, that's what's going on here. It's like when you're having a pest infestation, things are just getting, destroyed, things are deteriorating, things are dilapidating, but there's nothing good that's going on. It's like you have a bucket with holes in it. Okay. Lack of accountability. These people, you cannot hold them accountable for anything, because anytime you try to hold them accountable, they just attack you, isn't it? They tell you are jealous of them, and then they will either deflect as well and tell you that it's the white man's fault that their countries are suffering. It's the white man's fault. For how long? For how long? How long are you going to keep blaming the white man? And I get it. I understand very well. I'm not oblivious to the fact that majority of the world's wealth belongs to white people. I get it. I understand. But the thing is, the way that these people are putting it and the way that they are making it as an excuse, it's not how it really is in its true reality. You understand? Because, for example, let's look at South Africa. Whoever it is, for the government that is in charge here in South Africa, they are the ones that are compromised as people. They are the ones that there's always been more than enough resources here in South Africa to take care of us as the citizens and a little bit of foreigners here and there. There's always been enough. But instead of these people using the resources to take care of us, they've literally been lining up their own pockets. So, and then they want to blame white capital for it. Yes, white capital has their own thing going on. Let's not, make a mistake about that. White capital has its own money. White capital is dominating here in South Africa and everything. But the government has money as well. You understand? Our government has money, has more than enough resources to take care without bothering itself with the white capital. Our government has enough money to take care of us because it's taking this money from our taxes. And over and above that, our government inherited a proper functioning country from the apartheid regime. You understand? We had everything in place. All we needed to do was to maintain it, was to take care of it. And they have failed. So why on earth do we blame white capital for that? And anything that white capital has done or could have done, Our government was supposed to have stopped that, was supposed to have prevented it, or was supposed to have, tackled it, addressed it. But that's not what our government is doing. So why on earth are we going to blame the other people and not, let our government take accountability for its failures? When Zimbabwe started, distancing itself from white capitalists and started kicking out white people from their own country, they knew what the repercussions were going to be. They knew what the consequences of that was going to be. And I don't know exactly what was transpiring around that time, but one thing that's for sure, you do want to be able to choose your battles wisely. You understand? And you want to, before you go into war, you want to look into, say, okay, fine. If I'm deciding to kick all these people out of the country and then I get sanctioned, what is my plan B? What is my plan C? And clearly they had no plan B or C or D or E. You understand? And here's the thing. Here in South Africa, the apartheid government was sanctioned it's as well. I don't know if people understand that. The apartheid government was sanctioned. But despite the sanctions, they were still able to create and I'm not a big fan of apartheid, but I do want to mention, I want to give credit where credit is due. Okay. And where certain things are working, I want to be able to see them for what it is. I don't want to just blind myself to anything and everything. The apartheid government was able to sustain itself. South Africa was able to sustain itself as a country without the influence of other countries. South Africa was not a colonized country. It was an independent country. The only problem was that it was, belonging to Afrikaners. You understand? The Dutch. So that was the only thing that was wrong there. You understand? But it was an independent, it was not depending on that whole thing. It was a national state. They had a whole lot of things. The state was rich. They had a beautiful, beautiful economic system. You understand? They had a whole wonderful thing going on, those people. They were building wealth for the country, even though, yes, of course, it was meant to benefit them as white people alone and everything. But the point remains, it was a proper functioning government, despite the sanctions. They had built enough infrastructure to be able to sustain the country and its citizens. What's preventing other African countries from doing that? What's preventing African countries from doing that? The only thing that's preventing African countries from doing this is because their leaders are corrupt. Our African leaders are corrupt. And this is something that Africans do not want to hold our leaders to account for. Our Black leaders are the ones that sell us out to white capital. White capital doesn't just do its own thing on its own. It depends on Black people who are sellouts. And our leaders have been selling us out ever since they could. Okay. So when it comes to, I see we're going to, run another 5 minutes. I see that. Okay, but we're almost done. Let me just quickly read this notes here. So they don't call each other out, our African foreigners and generally, these foreigners that we are dealing with here in our country. They don't call each other out for their behavior. Very few of them do that, but majority of them, it's like they excuse each other's behavior. Okay, that's narcissism, because narcissists will never ever allow you to call them out, will never allow you to hold them to account, will never hold themselves to account or each other. They don't see anything wrong with what they're doing, and they resist real conversations. You understand? They'd rather resort to personal attacks like, you are jealous of us, you are jealous of this, and then, they'll just say all these things. For example, people are busy accusing Zandile of Dudula to say, she has children with Zimbabwean, blah, blah, blah. They would rather attack people rather than face the reality of what they are doing. You understand? They will not want to address what it is that they're doing or what their fellow people have been doing here in South Africa. Okay, and if all else fails, then they start blaming white people. Why are you attacking us as Black people? Why are you not attacking white people? Here's the thing. White people, even, even if they can be racist or whatever, white people are not busy, destroying CBD. They're not busy destroying Johannesburg CBD. They're not busy trafficking our children here. I do beg your pardon. White people did not come by the millions here in South Africa and start, just overcrowding and invading the country and just destroying everything. You understand? They're not busy selling, expired things in their tuck shops and making our children eat poisonous things. They're not busy committing all sorts of heinous crimes here. They're not doing that. They are a small minority in their own little corner doing their own little thing there. So why on earth are we now wanting to put them into this whole thing, include them or involve them in this whole thing that they have nothing to do with? Whatever issues we as South Africans have with white people, it's between us and them. It's a family matter. It's a South African matter. To you, they might come across as if they are foreigners just like you. But to us, it's completely different. And your voice has less weight than our voice because we are South Africans. So you mind your own business with your own government and leave us and our white people alone. You chased white people out of your own countries. Look at where your countries are now. We left white people in our own countries and you mock us for it. But you are here working for those white people. You followed them, you kicked them out of your own countries, and then you followed them here so that you can work for them here. I don't understand you people, like I really don't understand. The only thing that I understand is that all of these things that are just showing up about you are very narcissistic. Okay. So, number 6, very materialistic. Okay. I'm going to just shoot very quickly on this one so that I can just finish. It's all about the surface level stuff. That's also narcissism. Okay. Very narcissistic. A lot of foreign nationals, they don't have that depth of character in themselves. Hence, you can't even reason with them about this whole thing, the mess that they are creating here in this country and everywhere else that they go in the world. They always take the victim stance because they are very superficial, surface level. They are not able to go beyond what is on the surface. It's always, all about what people are doing on just on the outside, not on the inside. There's no depth of anything. Okay. It's all about, making a lot of money for yourself and flexing, posting things to prove to South Africans that, you are better than them, because all of a sudden, now that South Africans want foreign nationals out of the country. Now, foreign nationals are starting to create this thing where it's like now they're in competition with South Africans. They're constantly trying to prove to South Africans that they are better. They've got all these things. They can do all these things. And it's like, you are even missing the point. You're not even getting the point. Do you understand? Like, anyway, they're not going to get it. They're not even going to get the fact that we as South Africans would actually root for them if they were to go back to their homes and build their own countries. Put in toilets, make sure that children are fed, make sure that things are working there, make sure that you've got some kind of infrastructures. The same way that you are able to organize yourselves here in South Africa and form groups and syndicates and everything that are able to run things that you are running here in South Africa, to the extent where we as South Africans feel like, hey man, what's happening? Because it's like we don't have our country anymore. Our country is in the hands of other people. Why don't you do that in your own country? you know but for you, you're not looking at the substantial things. You're just looking at materialistic things. You want your people to respect you back in your country because you live in South Africa. You want them to know that you live in South Africa. You are that amazing. You live in South Africa, but you have neglected your own country. Simon Gobadia, where are you? I'm talking about Simon Gobadia because I saw him on on social media, and he's apparently in Cape Town. I'm not happy about that. Okay, I'm not happy about that. I don't want that man in our country because he's just he's just one of them. He's just like all of them. Okay, so he's one of those people. He's always flaunting. Even on that video, he was busy flaunting the fact that he's in Cape Town. It's the most beautiful place he has ever seen and everything. He has no shame. No shame. He's always going to Dubai and everything. Meanwhile, his people don't have toilets. Meanwhile, there are children starving there in Nigeria. No shame whatsoever. Very materialistic, always flaunting the fact that you are in Dubai, always flaunting the fact that you've got all these things. South Africans are not like that. Do you want even the narcissists of South Africa? They are not like that. That's why people like Cyril Ramaphosa will not remain in power for long. He's going to go. He's going to go because that type of mindset, this is not how South Africans are. South Africans are not into South Africans, even if they may be materialistic, but I promise you, in comparison to the madness that I see with our fellow African brothers and sisters out here, it's like, nah, South Africans are very humble. Very, very humble. Number 7, and the last one, very toxic. Okay. And before we go to number 7, I wanted to just mention this about materialism. You know, Africans like to attack white capitals for being materialistic, for being all about money. White capitals are always chasing after money. White capitals are destroying black people for money. What? But our fellow Africans are destroying other Africans for money as well. Do you see the double standards? Like everything, they are always like, these people, yeah, sometimes they just give me a headache. I don't want to lie. Because it's like the very thing that they are taking white capitalists for, they are doing it themselves. But yet they're not going to hold themselves accountable for what they're doing. They're just going to keep pointing the finger at white people to say, yeah, this is white. Okay, so I almost got cut there. So I don't know what's going on. Let me just quickly wrap up before I get cut. So yeah, very materialistic. So that's why I don't buy into all these Africans who are busy trying to make a big deal about white people to say, oh, white capital. I know who my real enemy is. My enemy is not a particular religion. My enemy is not a particular race. My enemy is not a particular, gender or a particular age group. My enemy will always be the narcissist. That's who my enemy. The enemy of humanity is the narcissist within us. These are the people that are trying to destroy us. These are the people that are selfish, they lack empathy, and they just want to steal, kill, and destroy. So you will not deceive or manipulate us by trying to talk about the fact that you are African. So just because you are African, you think that we should allow you to come and destroy our country. You will be guilt-tripping us and telling us about the fact that you helped us here, during apartheid. That's what they always say. But even then still, even if you helped us during apartheid, but the fact remains, you were not doing it because you were expecting some payment, because you should have set out those terms and conditions then. And even if that's the case, God, for chances are it probably didn't even happen for many of you. But let's assume that it did happen. It's been over 30 years. Shouldn't you have gotten your act together by now? Because we had opened our doors to you and given you everything for the past 30 years. Isn't that enough? At what point does the debt become fully paid up? And what kind of a brother are you if you expect your brother to pay you back for every favor, every single favor that you do for them? And also, what kind of a brother are you that you expect your brother to pay you back with their own life for whatever little bit of favor that you do for them? No. Okay, so let's go back to number 7. Very toxic and destructive. Okay, everywhere these people go, everywhere where they set up communities for themselves, this has become a no-go areas for the citizens. That's why I'm saying don't accept it. Wherever you are in the world, do not accept this. Okay, don't accept it. Don't take it. Refuse to accept foreign nationals into your country in a free-flowing way. Have those rules where if a foreign national is coming in seeking asylum or whatever, visa or anything like that, let them bring something that is rare, something that is critical, because remember, they're going to bring their cousin, their friend, everyone. They're going to bring, it starts with one. Next thing, there's going to be 10 of them. Okay, so do not accept these people unless they are bringing in some rare critical skill. You are hearing this from a black person, okay? And I'm saying to you, when these people come to your country, let them bring a rare skill, okay? Something rare. Or else do not give them your visas, do not give them anything, block them. The way that you've been blocking them, I see Trump and the UAE and everyone is busy blocking. Block these people. And to those countries that have not yet gotten there, you as the citizens, fight for your countries. Fight. Because if no one stops people from coming in and leeching the resources of the countries that are at least doing a little bit of something for themselves, these people are not going to go back home and do what is right. They're going to continue neglecting their responsibility
their own people and towards their own countries. They need to go back to their countries and do what is right. They need to fix their countries. They need to do that. Okay. So do not accept them, because they are not there to help build your nation. They're not there to help build the country. They are here to destroy it. They don't know anything about proper running countries. All they know is the distraction that they bring, the way that they live. We've seen it here in South Africa. The things that they do here, that's all that they know. How they show up, that's exactly how they are. And that's all you can expect from them. Okay, so don't think that they're going to do anything nice, and don't think that you being nice and kind to them is going to do anything. These people have no empathy, so they don't care. They don't care about your kindness. They don't care about your mercy, your humanity, or whatever you think that you're supposed to have towards them. They do not care. They do not value such kind of things. They come from places where it's a dog eat dog world. Okay? That's how they are. That's who they are, unfortunately. Of course, once again, there'll always be a few select group that is not like the rest of them. And unfortunately, they get clumped in with the rest of them, unfortunately, isn't it? But we have to address the evil that we are dealing with here. And we cannot, say, oh, no, we're not going to address the evil that we are dealing with here just because of the select few. I myself have, dealt with a lot of foreign nationals who are actually lovely human beings. You understand? But a huge, vast majority of them are not the best human beings that you want to deal with. Okay, they are not okay in the head, if we should put it that way. I'm sorry to put it like that, but they're not okay in the head. They are just not okay at all. Okay, these people do not value human life. Do you understand? These are the very same people that will get your children hooked on drugs in a heartbeat. They will put drugs in those little snacks that they sell to the children at school. They will, I mean, these people are heartless. You need to understand that. They did not learn anything about being humane from where they come from. It's not in their culture. Do you understand? So it's quite unfortunate, but that's the reality. So when people are busy manipulating us, telling you, no, you are being inhumane, you are being racist, do not fall for it. Okay. So I'm done. Thank you so much for spending time with me on this transmission. Let me quickly see what other people saying out here. Why is it so dark? Okay, someone says Matsawe Mhlauli. Absolutely. Why is it so dark? It's dark because I've covered my camera. We're not looking at each other, we're just listening to each other. Um, and then it's you again. Yeah, you're right. Please don't forget we are supporting them by buying from their shops. Yes, you are right with that. Indeed, by buying from their shops. So we definitely need to boycott. We need to make sure that we do not give them any reason to remain behind. And that's why we definitely need to be pushing very, very hard for government to join us on this one. The borders need to be secured, and police need to effect Section 32 of Immigration Act, which says illegal foreigners should be removed. Okay, so those are the two first things that need to be addressed. First, the border and getting rid of illegal immigrants, and then from there we're going to tackle the legal immigrants that are in the country to say, what exactly is it that you are doing, what are you contributing, and in what way is your presence in the country negatively impacting the citizens of the country, so that if really your presence here is not really something that is adding value, then you have to go back home. You have to go back home. We need to get our country back in order. We need to sort ourselves out. These people don't understand anything about us or our struggles or our challenges. So only we ourselves, can fight for that, for our rights, fight for the opportunities that we have been deprived of, and everything else that basically has gone wrong in our lives as a result of this mess. Only we ourselves can correct it, because these people have no capacity whatsoever to even understand what it's like to be in our shoes. You understand? So yeah, once again, thank you so much. Until next time, goodbye.